Hey everyone, welcome to Carysgarage. And on this episode, we're back with the Beetle. I finally was able to figure something out. We'll talk about it because this has been driving me bloody crazy. Right after this. And before we get started, just wanted to remind everyone, if you haven't subscribed, hit that button, the bell, all that good stuff. We are still slowly growing the channel and it's getting a little bit better. And also this video is sponsored by Route 66 Auctions. It's a local auction website here in New Mexico. They do a monthly car auction and they also do estate auctions. There's actually a few of other stuff too. And there's the address is down below. And for Route 66 Auctions, the URL is down below. Check it out, and some exciting stuff. And also don't forget, I have a Patreon. You know, so you need a little bit of help buying some stuff from these cars. But the SunBug, as I've done a lot of videos on before, it developed a problem a while back, which drove me absolutely crazy. The alternator stopped charging, just wouldn't work at all. I did some diagnosis on it and figured out that the brush pack was bad. It was completely burned out. But let me take you a little bit closer and let's take a look. So as you see, here's the Volkswagen Motorola alternator, and there's a missing part right here. And what that is, let me show you. That right here, I think goes just like that. So this is the brush pack. So these have brushes that make contact with the armature and is what connects things and makes it charge. But let's see, the brushes they're pretty cooked. So I looked around and around and around all over the internet. I found one guy on eBay that had a brush pack for it. Most of the time he was like out of town or whatnot, and I called a bunch of places and I was striking out. I wasn't having any luck. So I was actually looking at replacing the alternator oven in itself, but that requires really dropping the engine. It's a lot of work. And then literally a couple of days ago, I had this thought. There's a local company in town that rebuilds starters and alternators. So I was like, you know, why not? I'll just swing by and I'll check. And I'll be darned if they didn't have two brand new brushes sitting on the shelf for $3 a piece. So what we're going to do, we're going to set up in the garage. We're going to clean off this current brush holder. We're going to unsolder those brushes, take them out, and install these new guys, put them in the car, and hopefully it charges. It's got to work better than it was because those are just done. So let's move over to the garage and see if we can fix the Beetle, which I've been wanting to do for a long time. Okay, so I have the soldering iron warming up. I discovered I don't have any more solder, so hopefully there's just enough on here to work. If not, we'll have to stop and go to the store and go get some solder. But one of my whole points of this video is to show you that sometimes you don't need to buy brand new parts. You can take what you have and fix them, rebuild them, especially in these older cars. So one thing I need to do is I really need to clean this because it is absolutely disgusting. We need a really good base to be able to solder on. And if it's dirty, you can't do that. Plus, I like nice clean parts. So let's go ahead and just clean it up. And if I'm doing monotonous tasks I'm not going to talk about, I'll just fast forward and do it in a quick frame. And then when I need to talk or do something, we'll slow it down and talk. Alright. So now what we're going to do, I got to clean up enough. We're going to unsolder this first one right here and see if we can't get it out. I have a feeling I'm probably going to need to go get some solder. And let's actually do it on something that's not soaking wet and has carb cleaner all over it. So one thing I just noticed is that this brush actually popped out a little bit. It seemed to have been binding a bit, but still, this one moves freely. And it's still not coming out anymore. So we just need to replace the brushes. I don't want to risk it with these guys. So instead of spending a bunch of money getting them rebuilt or trying to find a replacement, which I was unable to do, let's just do it ourselves. I'm frugal and I like to fix things. So I don't know if you guys get an image of this, but my soldering iron is not quite warm yet. So we're going to pause there for just a second, and when you guys come back, I'll be able to unsolder that. Okay, we are back, and it's warm. And here's a blast from the past. I've had this thing for a long time. This is a Radio Shack soldering iron that I've had since I was a kid. I've done a lot of work with this stuff. So what we're going to do is there's a puddle of solder right here that you probably can't really see it, but the line, these little metal connectors go up through. They actually go through a hole to right there where there's a puddle of solder. So let's see if we can do this without burning myself. We put it on the puddle, and it just starts to melt. That's what solder does. So what we need to do is we need to melt it just enough that we can extract this metal piece. And properly, you should actually have a solder extractor that it sucks it up, but I don't have that. I think I've only used one once, and I'm not going to use it because I don't have one. So let's see if we can do it without. And like I say, the trick is here to not burn your fingers. I should probably be wearing gloves, but I'm not. And this is some very sturdy solder. So I'm putting a little bit of tension on it and soldering this. Oh! And it just came out. Hold on. So I did something really stupid, which I'm sure a few of you out there probably guessed. I let the brush pop out with the spring, and it disappeared. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put tape on it before we unsolder it so it doesn't go flying. Because it's not the brush I really care about, it's the spring that it's attached to. Yeah, so let's unsolder this one and see what the spring looks like and see if maybe I have another spring similar. If not, we're going to have to figure that out. So now let's unsolder this one, which can be a little bit difficult, but it should be nice and warm now to be able to flow, which it is. It's flowing nicely. All I'm doing is just applying a little bit of downward action on it, and it's getting hot, of course, because it does that. Sometimes I do some very stupid things. This was one of them. The trick with this one is going to be getting it hot enough to where any of the solder that even went through the other side, because it loops through, will melt so I can actually extract it. And they sure use a lot of solder on this one. Let's see, let me try. So what I'm doing now is I'm heating up the solder and melting it just enough. It's kind of cold out too, which does not play in our favor. And I'm just trying to fold up the braided metal piece to try and see if I can get it out now. And when you do stuff like this, you start to learn why the professionals get paid a fair amount of money to do such things. So that, probably not the right way, but I don't care. It worked. So I took these and put them in here, heated up and spread them apart. And what I did, since we have it taped, is it is retained in here so it didn't go flying out. So now, let's get the brush and the spring out without losing it. That's at least going to be our goal for this particular one. Let's be smart. Let's just grab the tail of it so it doesn't fly out. Sometimes think smarter. Okay. Now if we let go, slowly, 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 there we go. We got the spring and the brush, and I need to find that spring. So now we can see the difference. Old brush, new brush. Very different, very worn out. So let me take a flashlight and look around and see if I can, dear God, try and find this spring. Because without it, I don't know what we're going to do. Okay, so I seriously lucked out. I found it. So look at this one too. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this, we're going to put it through the spring, and now we have to very carefully get it through the hole up here. Oh boy, this is fun. Make sure this is a decent edge. Put it up through. Actually, grab the pliers. And that ought to do the trick. So now that we have it in the holder, we can push it in all the way. And then retape it. Lesson learned. So now it's being retained. And I guess probably just use the same amount on that. So now we put it through the hole, or at least try to. And honestly, the problem now is solder in the hole is clogging the hole a little bit. So take the screwdriver. Again, I'm not a professional. I just do what I do, and it works, and things get fixed, and we're going to go from there. So if this isn't the right way, it's probably not the right way, but I don't care. It works for me, and I do it. All right, well, that worked. I walled out the hole a little bit, got it through. And now let's see if there's enough solder here to make it work, so I don't have to go to the store, because honestly, I'm dreading doing that. And usually to do this correctly, you put a little bit of solder on the tip of the soldering iron, and then it conducts a little bit easier, and then it melts better. But again, I'm being cheap and lazy at the moment. Well, I think we're going to have to give in and go get some solder. But first, let me put the other one in just so nothing gets lost, because, yeah, losing stuff, especially little stuff like this, is really annoying. So now, old brush, out. Where's my new one? New one. Spring. Ooh, I'm so excited. I really hope this works. It's really been the one thing that's been keeping me from driving the bug around after doing the whole engine rebuild is the fact the charging system just hasn't ever worked. Which honestly, shame on me, I should have checked this before I put it all together, but I was in a hurry and I wanted to get the bug running. Okay, now they're both in, and let's tape it some more just to be safe. Oh, see, it just popped out. I'm glad the tape was there, little tape. So you stick it back in and then we'll tape it up so it doesn't disappear and put it through the hole. There. Better to be safe than sorry. So now this one will, right, this one looped around, went like this. And went up and got soldered. So I guess let me go to the auto parts store, get some solder, and we will get back and finish this up. And we're back. And we have solder, so we can actually do it properly now. Or at least that's the idea. So my dogs are going to bark in the background and be annoying. So it's nice and hot, so we're able to actually melt some solder in. And then this is the one. And now it's soldered. Nice and tight, very good. Now this one, be a little interesting because it did wrap around. Okay, so see if I get it to wrap around like that. So what I'm going to do with this one is since I need it to wrap around forward, let's see if I could press it down. Like that. Good. Apply some solder. There we go. It's soldered. So now that it's soldered and it is retained, we can go ahead and pull this tape off, and the brushes this time will not launch, which would be amazing. I could have probably made them a little bit shorter. Oops. So, because the idea you want them is you don't want them flopping out like this, but it more or less just makes it more annoying for installing. So actually what I'm going to do is, now we got to go back to the car and install it. So we're almost running out of sunlight. Let's see if we can do it real quick. If not, it'll have to be another day. All right, we're back with the car. And the biggest problem I have is I took this apart so long ago, I legitimately don't remember how to do it. So, and actually before we do that, one quick thing. So one thing I want to do real quick is we're going to pull the belt off because I want clean brushes. And yes, I know this isn't the right tool, but you know what? I don't care. It works. And I also want to get a magnetic holder because these parts are small and I don't want to lose them. So, very specifically, the reason why I'm doing this is I want to disconnect it from the engine so I can spin it, and what I'm going to do is take a little bit of sandpaper and put it in the armature just to clean it up a little bit. And that's doing the trick. It's cleaning it up. Alright, so that has cleaned up quite nicely. So, for the life of me, I don't remember how. Okay, so I think this goes. So, I already see a problem. I should have made these shorter so they don't pop out because now I'm having a problem putting it in. Great. So all I did was just put a little piece of sandpaper in there to hold the brushes up, and it worked. So now we just, pretty much line it up. So really all I need to do now is get a screwdriver and a wrench that'll fit in here. And then I do believe that goes there. We need to tighten that up, then those will go on there. This will go on. Okay, let me go get a couple more tools. We will finish this up and see if it works. Well, it's all back together. Put the belt on and let's see if it does anything. Well, it's a few days later. Had some stuff that I had to do. So, I was having some problems the other day getting it started, and I think I might have actually been out of gas. So I put a couple of gallons of gas in it, see if it starts up, and see if the alternator charges. I really hope it does. The generator light comes on, which is the alternator light. It goes out. Let's see if I can keep it running. So I've got the back seat out because I always have to charge the battery or move it around, so. That doesn't want to stay running. Okay, so the battery was at 12 volts. I was getting a little over 13 volts, so I do believe that means it was actually charging. So yeah, let's see if I can't get it to stay running. So we have higher than battery voltage. So it is charging. Let me turn on the lights. Turn on the lights, it went back up. So I don't know. I say that's a win. Well, that was a massive success. My alternator works. It actually charges. That was driving me absolutely crazy, and I cannot believe for the life of me that I just didn't think to stop by a little local alternator shop. And I kept trying to look all over online, and yeah, $6. That's all it costs. Took a little bit of time. It wasn't too bad, but it works. Now, really, it's just getting the brakes to work fully, because I still have this weird problem where I'm only getting half the brake circuit, and figuring out why it's not wanting to run right. But other than that, this thing is pretty much ready to actually be driven around, which is super exciting because I actually want to drive this car. I put so much work into it. But we're going to go ahead and leave it off there. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and catch you on the next video.